Well, today I have a different, but I think important kind of garden tour. So Dot and I, Dot, my little Fiat, my own little Department of Transportation, and I are going to show you the exterior of the house from a distance to start off, because the way it looks from a distance is going to be important to our topic today. And what we're going to talk about today is designing with bulbs, because right now it's time to order and think about quantities and colors and the particulars of what kind of spring bulbs you're going to want to be planting this fall. I just did with Color Blends, the company that I use for most of my bulbs, basically a primer on some bulb design notes that I did that will be coming out pretty soon, and I will get you a link or something so that you can access that information. But right here, I want you to look for something different than what we normally are focusing our attention on. And that's not the plants themselves, but the negative space in between the plants, because those are the voids that we're going to fill with tulip bulbs. And even where there is a presence of something else, for example, and I left them here so to demonstrate what I mean, there's a large stand of spent Shasta daisies. Actually, these are Becky daisies. And I'm going to be cutting them back hard all the way to the ground, because that will expose voids where I can then plant tulips, because I want a huge mass of tulips in these areas in the spring. And typically I focus the majority of them in this one front space near the bunny rabbit. This is also where all of that lavender phlox blooms, and where I have masses of tulips and the cabbages and some chamomile, all sorts of things. Right now it's rather bereft. But in the spring, if any of you have driven by my house, you'll know that there will be close to 800 to 1,000 bulbs in bloom simultaneously. Well, not simultaneously, because they unfold over time. And there will be tufts of bulbs and pansies and feverview going up through this little access path, this flagstone access path in the front yard. And if we navigate this path, you can see that there's more space for planting tulips around the bird bath. And then behind the bird bath is a mass of mature azaleas, and those bloom in dark pink and white. And whenever I select the color blend of my tulip mix, I take that into account, because I want the tulips to be harmonious with the very specific kind of magenta pink. It's got a lot of purple in it, and I don't want the colors of the bulbs to be disconsonant with the color of the azaleas. I want everything to be harmonious and kind of speak the same color language. That will also be true of, let me see if I can zoom in a little bit, of what bulbs I will put in the window box and in the plantings surrounding the window box. If you go back and look through Instagram or some of my other social media platforms, you'll see that I had lots of potted bulbs as well this year, and I am hoping to do that same practice. So there are a number of spaces all around and in this flower bed. Let's see if I can zoom back out. That circumscribes my front yard. So there will be tufts of tulips back in that stand of boxwood right in front of my husband's Subaru. And then there will be all sorts of tulips and other flowering spring plants, all part of the spring show. The tulips are the divas, they're the queen, but a queen has to have her supporting cast and her courtiers. And so I think of all of the lesser plants, but equally as important, as kind of cast members to the show. So there will be, along the wall, there will be some tulips planted, so that your eye will move from one place to another, driven by the flow of what I think of as just a river of tulips that starts up front, goes all the way to the back towards the American flag, and then little tributaries of tulips come off and cascade down the side. And you can see that there are some gaps in between that boxwood where I will plant the tulips. Now in my area, I want to make sure, first of all, and I'm doing this today because I want to emphasize the importance of ordering your bulbs now. I'll put a link below to colorblends.com. That's where I get my bulbs, because you want to order now so that they don't run out of your favorite varieties. That's crucially important. They will not mail them to you, ship them to you, or bill you until it's time to plant in the fall. So for me, I get them in the latter part of October, and I typically plant or try to plant the week before November. So you can imagine how beautiful it is with tulips surrounding the entire perimeter of this. Also, when I take my design for spring into account, I think about the style of my house, which is English Tudor, the fact that it is a dark facade, and I want something that will contrast and also harmonize with my house. And every year, though I have my favorites, I do try to mix it up a little bit. And this year I'm going to do something that I consider to be a little bit more sophisticated. I just placed my order on Friday, and on LVTV I'm going to share with you exactly what I ordered and in what amounts, and my considerations in terms of early, mid, and late blooming varieties. And on LVTV I'll share with you exactly which colors I ordered. So if you wanted to kind of replicate it, or replicate parts of it, or be inspired by it, you can see what I've ordered. And typically, now in the past, you'll ask, do I really plant all of those tulips myself? And I will demonstrate my tulip planting techniques as the time approaches. But right now, I just kind of wanted to talk a little bit about the importance of ordering your bulbs early. But I started to say that you probably asked, do I really plant all of them myself? And for years, probably for 20 years, I planted them all myself. And now I've gotten busy enough with some other projects that I typically do get some help. I place them all, instruct my helpers where they need to go, and then they plant accordingly. And none of this one at a time business. We plant as many as 50 bulbs in a big trough at one time, and I'll also show you some of the techniques we use to plant in this very root intensive soil that's underneath the canopy of this massive oak. So there you go. This is, like I say, kind of a strange little garden tour where we're looking for gaps and inspiration for what's to come. But like so much of gardening, we have to do the planning and the designing and the thinking on the front end for our dreams and our visions to come to fruition. So I'll put links below to color blends, and when my bulb design notes come out that were published, I will make sure that you guys have access to them. So here's to a good start to the week. Please be safe and please be well. Till tomorrow.